The forgotten hospital rises from the darkness, its windows shattered, walls streaked with rust, and doors hanging slightly ajar as if inviting the unwary inside. The air around it is heavy, carrying a chill that seeps into your bones before you even step inside. Locals whisper that shadows walk these halls alone after night falls, moving with purpose, observing anyone brave, or foolish, enough to enter. I step onto the cracked concrete of the entrance, the fog curling around my boots. The wind whistles through the broken windows, carrying faint murmurs that seem almost human. Inside, the hospital is suffocatingly silent, yet alive with memories. The linoleum floors are cracked, tiles missing, and faint stains hint at moments frozen in time. Dust hangs in the air, swirling in weak beams of moonlight that slip through the gaps in shattered windows. Built in the late 1960s, the hospital once teemed with life. Nurses rushed through corridors, doctors moved swiftly from room to room, patients whispered in hallways, and families hoped for miracles. Children were born, wounds healed, illnesses fought with courage and care. The building vibrated with life, yet decades later, it is hollow, abandoned, left to decay. Even in emptiness, it refuses to be silent. Stories tell of faint whispers, voices threading through corridors, and shadows that drift independently of any light. Explorers claim cold touches, fleeting drafts, and the constant sense of being watched. Some swear the walls themselves breathe, exhaling memories trapped within. The main corridor stretches before me. Broken chairs are scattered across the reception area, faded charts litter the desk, and the old, welcome sign above the nurse's station is chipped and worn. Whispers thread through the hall, faint and unintelligible, yet impossible to ignore. I step cautiously, flashlight slicing through shadows that seem thicker than the air itself. I enter a patient ward. Beds are aligned perfectly, though mattresses are torn and faded. Wheelchairs sit abandoned near windows. Whispers grow louder, murmuring indistinctly, threading around the empty space. Shadows flicker along the walls, stretching unnaturally. I feel presence, unseen, cold, and unyielding. The corridor leading to the ICU is long and narrow. Broken glass crunches underfoot. The air grows colder, biting at my skin. Each room I pass is ajar, revealing darkness, yet in the corner of my eye, movement appears. Shadows slither along walls, bending as though alive. Whispers brush past my ears. Stay, don't leave. I pause, heart racing, aware that I am not alone. Operating theaters are frozen mid-use. Rusted surgical tools, cracked lights above, trays untouched for decades. I hear metal scraping softly, though nothing is moving. Shadows pool in corners, fleeting, observing, never still. A faint draft moves through the room, carrying antiseptic and decay. The past lingers here like smoke. I climb to the upper floors. The patient's rooms are personal, intimate. Faded photographs cling to peeling walls, depicting faces that no longer exist. Whispers overlap, urgent and sorrowful. Shadows stretch along hallways, sometimes vanishing when I focus, then returning when I look away. A chill passes, carrying the weight of 1,000 memories. The roof is open to the night. Wind whistles through broken panels. The moonlight illuminates rusted railings and cracked tiles. From here, the hospital feels endless, a labyrinth of memory and shadow, heavy with unseen presences. Flickers of movement pass at the edges of vision, teasing and fleeting. I return to the main corridor, venturing into the basement. Pipes hang from the ceiling, water drips steadily, echoing unnaturally. Shadows shift, moving as if they have a mind of their own. Whispers swirl, coherent and fragmented, We remember. Stay, don't leave. I feel surrounded, pressed in by unseen eyes. A storage room contains medical supplies abandoned decades ago. Bandages, rusted monitors, wheelchairs, jars with unknown contents, all frozen in time. A faint scraping echoes. Footsteps cross the tile, soft, deliberate, yet invisible. Shadows stretch along walls, forming shapes just long enough to unsettle the mind. Every corridor seems different now, hallways twisting into impossible perspectives. Shadows deepen, whispers merge into a chorus of the hospital's past, cries of pain, murmurs of hope, whispers of gratitude, echoes of fear. Every room is alive with memory, replaying endlessly in the silence. I move deeper into the hospital, the chill growing heavier with every step. The main corridor stretches endlessly, twisting in ways that make it feel larger than it should be. Shadows cling to the walls, moving independently, stretching and contracting as if alive. The whispers grow louder, overlapping, weaving together fragments of forgotten conversations. Each name, each plea, each cry of pain feels like it comes from the very walls themselves. The old patient wards draw me in next. Beds lie abandoned, mattresses torn, and wheelchairs are scattered randomly across the floors. Faded curtains flutter in the slight draft, casting moving shadows that almost look like figures pacing the hallways. A faint voice drifts from one room, soft, indistinct, almost a sigh, urging me forward or warning me back. I cannot tell which. I enter the ICU. Broken monitors flicker briefly, their screens casting an eerie glow across the room. Rusted equipment rests where it fell decades ago. A soft clatter echoes from a tray of surgical instruments, though I see nothing moving. Shadows gather at the corners, dissolving when I try to focus, then reappearing elsewhere. I feel eyes on me from every direction. The air presses against my skin, heavy with unseen presence, thick with memory. The operating theaters are next. Surgical lights hang above like cracked, frozen moons. Rusted scalpels and clamps glint faintly in the flashlight beam. I hear faint scraping, the metallic whisper of a hand sliding across metal. Shadows flicker unnaturally, stretching along walls and across ceilings. The air is saturated with past emotions, fear, hope, urgency. I realize this place is alive with memory, replaying fragments of lives long gone. I climb the stairwell to the upper floors. The patients' rooms here are smaller, more personal. Old photographs cling to peeling wallpaper, smiling faces frozen in time. Shadows stretch across the floors, bending with impossible angles. Whispers swirl, urgent, sorrowful, sometimes forming words. Do you remember us? Don't leave. A cold draft snakes along the hallway, brushing past me, carrying faint scents of antiseptic and dust. I reach the roof. Moonlight cuts through the broken panels, illuminating cracked tiles and rusted railings. From here, the hospital seems endless, a labyrinth of memory and shadow. Flickers of movement appear at the corners of vision, teasing, fleeting, impossible to capture. The wind whistles through the gaps, carrying fragments of voices that feel almost tangible. Returning inside, I explore the basement. Rusted pipes drip steadily. Shadows crawl along the walls, forming shapes too deliberate to be mere tricks of the light. Whispers swirl around me, now almost coherent. We remember. Don't leave. Stay. The air feels alive, pressing against me from every side. It is no longer empty, yet I see no one. I find a storage room, stacked high with abandoned medical supplies. Bandages, jars, wheelchairs, old monitors, all frozen in time. A faint clatter echoes as I approach. Shadows stretch along walls, forming figures that dissolve when I turn. The whispers are insistent, pressing against my mind. See us, remember, stay. My heart races as the presence around me thickens, almost tangible. I return to the main corridors. Hallways now twist strangely, impossible perspectives creating the sense that the building itself is bending. Shadows lengthen, deepening, merging with the whispers into a chorus of the hospital's history. Cries, sighs, laughter, murmurs of hope, silent tears. Every room vibrates with memory, replaying endlessly, each sound amplified, each shadow alive. The operating theaters call to me again. A faint glow flickers on a rusted monitor. I see movement on the cracked linoleum, shadows that mimic the motions of invisible figures. The whispers rise in intensity, voices overlapping, telling fragments of stories, lives saved, lives lost, moments of hope, moments of despair. I feel the weight of history pressing in, the building alive in a way impossible to ignore. I wander into the surgical prep room. Trays of tools lie scattered, rusted sinks full of debris. A faint, metallic scent hangs in the air. Shadows shift unnaturally, stretching, curling, disappearing when looked at directly. Whispers twist together, forming coherent phrases for a fleeting moment. Don't leave, see us, remember. The words carry urgency, emotion, a desperate pull into the past. I climb the stairwell one last time, moving toward the upper floors. The patients' rooms here feel intimate, almost personal. Faded photographs, peeling wallpaper, shadows moving independently across the floors. Whispers swirl in the darkness, overlapping and urgent. I can feel eyes on me from every corner, every ceiling, every shadow. The air is dense, heavy with memory, alive in a way that is impossible to escape. The rooftop calls again. Moonlight spills through cracks, illuminating rusted railings and fractured tiles. From here, the hospital stretches into the night, endless, a labyrinth of memory and shadow. Flickers of movement dart at the edge of vision, teasing, fleeting. Whispers drift, almost tangible, carrying fragments of stories, voices of the past reaching into the present, impossible to ignore. Returning once more to the corridors, I wander the hallways, passing the wards, the operating theaters, the storage rooms. Shadows lengthen, merge, and twist. Whispers rise in volume, overlapping into a chaotic symphony of memory. Each corner holds a fragment of a life once lived here. Each sound, each movement, a reminder that the hospital is not truly empty. I move deeper into the hospital, the chill now biting through my jacket. Shadows cling to the corners of every hallway, stretching and twisting with a life of their own. The whispers swirl around me, urgent, pleading, overlapping into a chorus of memory and sorrow. Every step feels heavier than the last, as though the building itself is aware of my presence, testing my resolve. I enter the main patient ward once more. Beds lie in disarray, wheelchairs abandoned, curtains fluttering despite the stillness of the air. Shadows move along the walls, independent of light, following me with deliberate intent. A faint, almost coherent whisper drifts past. Do you remember us? Don't leave. I shiver, realizing these voices are the echoes of countless lives, trapped in this place, reaching out for recognition. The ICU draws me next. Monitors flicker faintly, long dead, casting ghostly light across the floor. Rusted equipment rests where it fell decades ago, yet for a fleeting second, I see movement, a shadow crossing the room, vanishing before I can focus. Whispers overlap, telling fragments of stories, patients saved, lives lost, moments of fear and hope intertwined. The air presses against me, dense, almost tangible, a reminder that I am not alone. I make my way to the operating theaters. The surgical lights hang cracked and dusty above, illuminating rusted instruments. Shadows shift unnaturally, curling across the walls and ceilings, watching, waiting. The whispers form coherent phrases briefly. Stay, see us, remember. I feel a pull toward the past, toward the lives that once filled these halls, memories frozen yet endlessly replaying. I climb to the upper floors. The patient rooms are small, intimate, personal spaces. Faded photographs cling to peeling walls, showing faces frozen in time. Shadows stretch along floors and ceilings, moving with impossible angles. The whispers grow urgent, insistent, carrying emotion, fear, hope, gratitude, despair. The hospital itself feels alive, aware of me, pressing its history into every breath I take. The roof beckons once more. Moonlight filters through broken panels, illuminating cracked tiles and rusted railings. From here, the hospital seems endless, a labyrinth of memory and shadow. Flickers of movement dart at the edges of vision, teasing and fleeting. The wind carries fragments of voices, almost tangible, tugging at my mind with stories of the past, impossible to ignore. Returning inside, I descend to the basement. Pipes drip steadily, echoing unnaturally in the hollow space. Shadows crawl along the walls, forming shapes too deliberate to be tricks of light. Whispers swirl, almost coherent. We remember, don't leave, stay. The presence presses in from every side, palpable, cold, alive. I reach a storage room stacked with decades-old medical supplies. Bandages, rusted monitors, jars with unknown contents, wheelchairs, all frozen in time. A faint scraping sound echoes. Shadows stretch across the walls, forming fleeting figures that vanish when I turn. The whispers press against my mind. See us, remember, stay. Heart racing, I realize this hospital is a living archive, a monument to the people who once walked its halls. The main corridors beckon. Every hallway feels different now, warped, impossible, stretching into infinity. Shadows deepen, merge, twist. Whispers rise into a chaotic chorus, cries of pain, murmurs of hope, laughter, sighs. Every room is alive with memory, replaying endlessly, each sound amplified, each shadow animate. The hospital refuses to let go of the past, pressing it into the present with relentless insistence. I pause at the operating theaters. A faint glow flickers on a rusted monitor. Shadows crawl across the cracked floors, moving as though replaying unseen activity. Whispers overlap into a symphony of memory, moments of life, moments of death, fragments of stories that refuse to fade. The hospital breathes, remembers, and watches, insisting that those who enter acknowledge its past. I wander into the surgical prep room. Trays of rusted instruments lie scattered. The metallic scent hangs heavy in the air. Shadows stretch and curl, fleeting yet deliberate. Whispers briefly form coherent phrases. Don't leave, see us, remember. Urgency and sorrow thread through each word, pressing into my mind, drawing me deeper into the building's history. Climbing the stairwell again, I reach the upper floors. Patient rooms are intimate, personal, and alive with memory. Faded photographs cling to walls, peeling, yet still vibrant with past light. Shadows move across floors and ceilings independently. Whispers overlap, urgent, insistent, pressing stories of hope, fear, life, and death into the present. The hospital feels alive, breathing through the walls, floors, and ceilings, impossible to ignore. Finally, I step outside. The chill night air hits sharply. The hospital stands silent, massive, and foreboding, yet alive in memory and shadow. Whispers fade with the wind, yet their presence lingers. The building watches, waits, carrying its stories through the night, through the fog, through every shadow that walks alone. If you dare to explore this abandoned world with me, make sure to like this video, share it with friends who love the unknown, and subscribe to AbandonVault. Every shadow, every whisper, every forgotten story waits for the next curious soul to step inside.